Many of you have experienced anxiety at one moment or another, and I'm sure quite a lot of you have been dragging this experience with you, so to speak. On a personal note, I really understand you. I started having severe panic attacks at the very young age of 6, and it is indeed a really debilitating experience. I remember always being scared when the next one will hit. And anxiety has just become my norm. So what is anxiety really from an energetic point of view? It is a scattered energy that is everywhere but the present moment. It is both in the future, both in the past. Often they say that anxiety more is about the future and depression is being stuck in the past. Well, I don't fully agree. And here's why. Anxiety can also stem from previous events. As a matter of fact, anxiety mostly is based on what has happened, what if it will happen again, as well as projection into the future. Anxiety is practically the disability of not being here, not being present in this moment, worrying about what could be, where it could be. Now, the angels have shared something so incredibly important, and maybe you've heard it before, but I think it is a breakthrough moment in understanding anxiety, that it's not really just as much as being scattered around it. Anxiety is your human aspect and your soul communicating that the energy that you are living in is not aligned with your truth. So that can feel a little overwhelming already, right? So what is it? It is everything. Anxiety is really the human reaction, the brain's reaction, and the body's reaction to energies, to experiences that are not aligned with your truth. And let's face it, this whole planet is living in misalignment. So it is very, very common. Now, what can you do about it? I remember, and maybe you've heard this, that when you're in anxiety, especially if you're having a panic attack, try to name 5 or 10 things that are around you. And I think it's a really well-meaning advice, and I totally understand where it comes from. But when I used to have my panic attacks, they did not help. So one of the things that I would invite you to do is to not only name things, but touch things. What is important is to, so to speak, trigger and bring your body, your senses into the moment that you are in. So starting to look around and naming things that are around you is a great start. But I would invite you to touch. Go and touch that cupboard, feel that book. And with every single thing, whether it's anxiety or depression, start moving your body. If you start taking big, deep breaths, even while your mind is racing, and you start stretching the body, it will help ease the anxiety. Because when anxiety happens, it is an energy of contraction. When we're in anxiety, our focus becomes completely singular in that experience of fear or in that thought. It could be a very specific thought that you have anxiety around, or it can be general. I've dealt with both in my life, and what I found is that when you really engage your senses, so in that way, naming a few things that surround you, that helps because that brings you here. But it's very possible that that's just not enough. So touching things, the hot and cold, water, you can take a shower that's hot and cold, changing the water. You can just do that with your hands. For example, you might be in a public space and you can't do that, right? So putting your hands in hot, cold water, and splashing that on your face, while at the same time keeping your brain occupied. This is a tap, this is water, these are my hands, and keeping yourself in that moment. And once that happens, once you start to calm down, I really invite you to start practicing even more breath. And one of the many amazing energy practices that you find on this page. For me, the mix of traditional psychological tools and wisdom with the energetic exercises that I've shared here is what offered me the breakthrough. The two without each other was not enough. Now, another very, very, very important thing to know. When you're having anxiety, especially when you're having, for example, a panic attack, you're not alone in it. And it is one of my life's purpose to prove that even scientifically, that when we're having such an experience, we have outside help. Now, what does that mean, outside help? The same way we are surrounded with a legion of helpers, such as angels, to support us, there's a lot of free-floating anxiety, fear. It is called the planetary thought body, and it's full. Around the planet, this energy is full. It's like a thick jelly that we walk through. So when there's doubt in us, and doubt is the number one energy that opens up your energy field to outside influence. When we have doubt, when we have panic, all these energies can flow into us. And there are those, I would call them sub-level entities that are practically born out of this third dimension that are going to use that moment. And when you're having panic, when you're having that experience, they're going to come and try to enforce it. The more energy sensitive I became, and I still had panic attacks, and I remember very clearly that moment where I could feel it get started, and I was doing already my best to just, use my tools on it. And in that moment, I felt this very, very powerful, kind of painful stream of energy that was trying to enter around this area. And in that moment, it did. And I had the very, very palpable, tangible experience how an outside force was enforcing, strengthening my panic attack. So this is why using energy exercises, clearing your energy works. And when you are in a state where you feel like, none of it is working, I'm just so overrun, right? My brain is so overwhelmed. Then, beloved, don't forget that you're not alone. Put your hands to your heart and call on the angels. Call on the crystalline light. And I share in another video why the crystalline light and why it's important to phrase it that way. But you call on the crystalline light and you command it to clear your energy, to offer your protection. You tell the angels, listen, I'm so overrun right now. I'm so overwhelmed. I need your help. Clear this away from me. And they will. And in that moment, you can feel the ease, and then you can start using the tools, and then you can start anchoring in yourself. And soon enough, you will be so strong in your knowing of your power that such things will not occur to you. And when they even happen for a moment, you will be able to handle them, to stop them, and to get back into alignment.